Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management, the world's leading fitness business coaches who in 2015 will help you #grow your business. This is the world's #1 podcast for fitness business owners and managers. We interview real owners and learn what has been working for them to make them so successful. Here's the host of the Fitness Business Podcast, Chantal.
Welcome to our Express Fitness Business Podcast. This is your 20-minute injection of fitness business tips from a true expert. And this month we have health club owner and fitness marketing guru, Michael Jordan. Michael is the owner of Voyage Fitness based in Queensland. He is also the marketing director for 6 Voyage Fitness clubs throughout regional Australia. He's one of the Australasian directors of creative fitness marketing and MyZone and holds a seat on the board of directors for Fitness Australia. Wow. Now, during our chat, Michael talks to us about the early stages of taking on Voyage Fitness, growing the club, and the influence it's had on people in the community. He shares with us tips on how to stand out amongst the influx of low-cost 24-hour gyms in the market. And best of all, he gives us 2 awesome promotional ideas that you can use in your club. So make sure you stay tuned for those ones. But for now, let's dive straight into my interview with Michael Jordan. Thanks for joining us today, MJ. To get things started, can you tell us a little bit about Voyages and specifically about your role within the club?
Yeah, certainly. We took over Voyage Fitness almost 4 years ago, just under 4 years ago, and it was a rundown club, had 120 members in a 600-metre square facility and in a population of 14,000. At the time, there was a community centre gym down the road, which probably had 600-700 members. And obviously we saw an opportunity that there was excess demand within the Warwick market. So we came in and did the club up, rebranded it, set new guidelines and created a new culture within the club. And over the last 3.5, 4 years, we've now grown to 1,100 members within the club. There's also been an Anytime Fitness that is open down the road and the council gym still operates. So, we've grown ourselves, but also which we think see as a positive thing, the amount of people that exercise in Warwick has increased 3 or 4-fold. We literally, when we first came there would have been 600-700 active members of a gym in Warwick. Now there's 2.5, almost 3,000.
Wow.
So I guess with a lot of club owners, when you come back to why you're in it, in our case, what we're really proud about is slowly changing the lifestyle and the health of the community. That's not to say, like any other club that's had competition open in their area, we were jumping for joy when it happened 18 months on. But in a way, it was the best thing for our business because it really made us evaluate where we're at and gave us our moment of truth. Right, we think we're good. We think we provide a good experience for our members. We think we've got a good USP, but this will ultimately tell if we do or not. And since we've Anytime open, we've continued to grow and we've been smarter in the way we operate our business in the sense that we don't only just look for growth in terms of membership numbers, but we look for growth in ways we can increase our yield within the club as well. Like many club owners who were at Bikes a couple of years ago, I was very much influenced by Thomas Plummer and the way he saw the industry changing with small group training. And that's something that we've been really trying to focus on with our growth internally as well. So we run a lot of 8 and 6 week challenge programs that incorporate small group training, functional training programs. And then from that leads to people staying on as small group training or PT members, which are obviously high yield members. So our growth we look for as a club is twofold. One is in members and also yield, and also I guess length of stay as well, which retention is obviously an important one in the industry at the moment.
Absolutely. MJ, you've kind of answered my first question in a way, but maybe there's something more recent because you talked about the challenge of obviously having another gym or another fitness competitor opening up close by. But if you had to say now what would be the number one challenge that you're facing today, let's say in the last 12 months, what would that be, and what would you say that you've done to overcome it?
Yeah, well, definitely, and it's not only from my club's perspective, but all the other club owners we deal with. So it's a very interesting time at the moment. The last 3 or 4 years, in terms of progression within the industry, is more than's happened over the previous 20. In terms of type of competitions, way to train, different fitness models, technology, all that sort of stuff has literally been crammed in over the last 4 years. So it's challenging but quite simple. The biggest challenge, of course, is we've got far more competition than we did 4 or 5 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, you could get away with being a good gym. If you're a good gym in your area, that would mean you're successful. And, we always talked about location being the key, and that was enough to be a successful club. Whereas these days, it's a red ocean. There is many gyms that are convenient for your potential customers, so that you've got to be more than just a gym. You've got to be either an exceptional gym in what you do, or you've got to be unique and different to what every other gym does in the area. If you're an independent that wants to be a 24/7 gym, you've got to make sure that you're exceptionally better at what you provide for the price you do than a franchise gym at the same price. Because if you're just saying you differentiate yourself on customer service, it better be very well noticed, so not you, but to the customers, that your service is that much better than the competitor down the road. And I think that's a common thing with clubs around Australia, is particularly independents talk about, having better customer service. But, that's a very intangible thing to measure. And I think the clubs that have done the best over the last 3 to 4 years with new competition is taking a new direction in their model, and not swimming in the red ocean, but playing in the blue ocean and creating a new model that's based on providing a unique or different or a high value experience for the member. And the best example of that, in terms of a model that's just been able to come in and be successful so quickly, is obviously CrossFit. CrossFit's usually priced at $50 a week in, as we know, a typically a pretty basic setup warehouse style gym. Yet they have this huge demand for their product, because what they're able to provide is a much more engaging experience and culture and environment than the regular everyday gym. And so that's what I see the big thing, I
was just going to say, I think what in that example, it really is that experience that you're talking about in the culture, which is that massive point of difference, isn't it? Amongst other things, facilities.
Yeah, exactly. So when you sit down, and this is what we did when Anytime Fitness came to town, we evaluated our gym and what our USPs were against Anytime Fitness. And we have an exceptional group fitness program. We had a growing small group training program, and we had a great friendly family culture within the club. So rather than trying to compete with them on what they were going to do, and they've got a really nice, fresh-looking setup, we said, right, well, let's focus on what we're good at. We're the family club. We want to increase our member-to-member and member-to-staff interaction by getting more people doing group fitness and these group exercise programs, and that's what we're going to dominate and do well. And by doing that, we've been still be able to grow, and Anytime have taken up their place in the market, and we've both been able to thrive and get along.
Yeah. Well, I guess that really leads me directly into our next question, which is, you've already touched on, the group fitness department and people within your team. So how do you find, as a business owner, what's one way that you would say that you would motivate those people in your team to be part of that vision of your business and part of the culture and the journey and that type of thing?
Yeah. Another really good question as well. And, I don't think, if you're looking at specific tactics to engage staff, then, you've probably got bigger problems than coming up with smart tactics to engage staff. Because before that, what you really need to do is go back to the very core of your business. Obviously, the common popular book at the moment is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And, a big part of what a club needs to do is define their purpose. What are their beliefs as a business? What is it that they want to change within their community? And if that's clearly defined and understood and worth following, then when you're recruiting staff, all you need to do is, when you're interviewing them or when you're finding about their own goals, ensure that your goals are aligned, that you're both hungry for the same thing. So if the club I go to in Brisbane, Function Well, is an exceptional club, and their tagline is to be the most personalised and effective training facility in Brisbane. So when they're recruiting staff, and you can see it in their coaches that they've got at the club, these guys are the ultimate professionals. They want to be known as the most effective trainers in Brisbane. And so that they naturally engage with a club like Function Well because the club has the same beliefs as these trainers. So, and the same for at Warwick, we want to make Warwick the healthiest regional centre in Queensland. That's our purpose. We want to change the health of the community. So we want our trainers not to be out just for their individual success, but we want them to be really passionate about changing the health of their local Warwick people in the community. And if you start with that connection and they're hungry for those same goals, the level of engagement is going to be strong right from the start. And then from there, once you've established what your core purpose is and you've got your staff buying in on that as well, then you can implement tactics to further strengthen that. So if your tactic is, we want people to train to live, not live to train, train to live, then encourage your staff when you do your catch-ups to do interest activities. Shout them a Tough Mudder race, which you all do as a team, and rather than going to a pub for a catch-up, save up and do a skydive.
Great suggestions.
And that's obviously more powerful than any commission you can give, anything like that, because you're helping them live out what they want to be in their life. And then, if you can do that, that's what this whole movement, becoming a movement's about. It becomes more than just a business. You become this sort of movement, and then that rolls on to your members as well.
They are great suggestions. Now, let's switch over to another one of your areas of expertise, marketing. Can you tell us about the best marketing campaign or promotion that you've done in the last 12 months?
With their experience. In terms of push, the most important thing with push is to make sure you are marketing. I think a lot of times because marketing's hard to get your head around, a lot of clubs procrastinating in getting any marketing out there. And they go, this didn't work or that didn't work. So I think at the start of the year, write out your marketing calendar, have some good promotions that tie in with what you're looking to achieve for the year, and make sure you implement it. And then once you've done that, they're the two first things you do before looking at any of the creative stuff. And then you can get creative once you've got your marketing calendar set. But two ideas, just quickly, I heard that we haven't actually implemented our club, but that I thought were pretty cool. One was Reece owns a few Anytimes in New South Wales. I heard recently bought a coffee van, and what he does, he drives around between the 4 or 5 clubs in those areas and delivers free coffee with a 7-day free pass to the gym.
Oh, wow.
And that's the sort of the idea of going out with a token. So I'll give you a free coffee if you want to come down and check
trial.
Out,
yeah.
And I think that's a lot cooler than just going out and trying to ram
free passes.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to be a bit more creative, and you've got to connect with the community a bit more than just whacking on a price and an offer on that flyer.
Great idea.
The other one that I really liked was, again, at Function Well, the gym I attend at in Brizzy here, and the I Love New York. So what they did, they surveyed all the members and asked them why they love Function Well, FW, and then what was really clever about this, they got all the responses together, and they did a campaign which was part external and part internal. So they sent out flyers, a Facebook post, what members said in why I love FW. And then when you went into the club, you see around the club, reason number 1, the personalised coaching, number 2, the great Metcon sessions, number 3. So it all tied in. It was a campaign. It all matched. And it was very clever because they could carry it on long after the flyers had gone out. And I think that's missing quite often with campaigns is just a basic offer out there, and there's no thought of how it connects with what's going on in the club. Or if I describe it really simply, is just in our case, given the type of model we are, the quality and quantity of our member-to-member and member-to-staff interaction.
So tell me this, what would be your number one strategy for keeping members in your club?
The easiest way to do that without having to worry about random emails going out and the like is get a high penetration of group fitness members, get a high penetration of small group training members and PT members as possible, and work out how your model can do that. That's the quantity. Also, in our case, we use MyZone as a way to, have a common language that we talk about when we're talking about the effectiveness of their workout. We can ask, how effective was your workout? I earned 150 reps in today's class. Awesome, great work. Rather than, having to wait 6 weeks for them to jump on a scale to see if they're getting anywhere. We can have that interaction with MyZone and our challenges day to day and week to week. And then the quality is giving the member enough information and enough tools and directions to be able to get results on their own, So do we have enough information on our website with our programming or within the class environment for them to get results we're after? Because in a 1,000-member plus club, it's really hard to keep track of every single person day to day. So you've got to naturally push them in the area where it's already set up for them to get that member-to-member and member-staff interaction.
Last but not least, what are your top 3 tips for professional improvement for people that are new to the fitness industry?
Yeah, I reckon the 3 things would be, firstly, what I mentioned before. Before you go forward, you've got to go back to the start, and that is, start with your why. Make sure that you've got a clearly defined mission and purpose for your business, and you've got your beliefs, you've got your values, you've got your code of conduct, and you've got how those beliefs are carried out in action day to day in your business. That's the most important thing, because until you've got that, you're not going to have engaged staff, you're not going to have engaged members. And I myself, when we first started our business, it took me about 12 months to realise that before I had to go back and really, with Jaron, the manager, an exceptional manager at work, where we had to go, right, what are we as a business? What are we trying to do? What are we trying to achieve? And since we've done that and put that on paper, we call it the Voyage Crew Map Book, our navigation manual, so to speak. And since then, our staff engagement, member engagement has improved twofold. So make sure you've got your vision on paper. That's the first thing. You've got to be progressive. Is number 2. The saying, if you're green, you grow. If you're ripe, you rot. If you're just sitting there not doing anything, you're certainly not going to be growing in the long term. You've got to be innovative, and it's sometimes scary, and you've got to take risks. We recently extended our gym by 50%, and that was a big investment.
Wow.
And right, just hopefully pays off. But if we didn't, we would have missed out on the opportunity of taking up that vacant area, and we couldn't have gone to the next level. And then finally, I guess the biggest advantage I've had in my business is my ability to network. And I think that's just such a powerful thing. Connect with a few like-minded business club owners, whether it's in your area or if you go to Filex or you go to through active management or anything like that. Connect with like-minded people and share the burden of running a business.
Yeah. And, makes you feel better when someone else is going through it, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Going through the same things.
You're not alone.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Oh, I think that's absolutely fantastic advice, MJ. Thank you so much for sharing those insights with us today. Thank you for sharing your experience, as I said, in such a broad range of the fitness industry. So I think you have really come up with some fantastic ideas, and I particularly love those couple of marketing ideas that you shared with us, and also the insights into, you touched on a few times about Simon Sinek and the start with why, and I think that's really significant and really important for people that are certainly starting up, or even people, as you say, that have been in business and just maybe lost focus a little bit and need to go back and start at the very beginning. So great advice on that. Michael, thank you so much once again for joining us today. We're going to pop all of your contact details, website, that type of thing up on the podcast. So if anyone does want to contact MJ, then you'll be able to check out the website there. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks, Chantel. No worries at all. Happy to help.
We trust that you enjoyed this episode of the Express Fitness Business podcast. And as always, I love to share my favorite takeaways from the show. So here's what I reckon were the very best bits of advice from Michael. First of all, identify your core purpose and create relevant activities for your staff and your members that align with that vision. Secondly, do not procrastinate when it comes to your marketing. Write your annual marketing calendar and go ahead and implement it. Third, the key to member retention is the quality and the quantity of member-to-member and member-to-staff interactions. Now, don't forget, if you love the Express Fitness Business podcast, do not forget to jump on and rate the show. All you need to do is click on the link in this week's show notes. Plus, if you want to drop me an email, let me know your feedback, your ideas, your suggestions, then you can email me anytime at chantal@activemgmt.com.au. I love to hear from you. Until our next show, what you leave behind is not what's engraved on stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.
You have been listening to the world's #1 podcast called the Fitness Business Podcast, brought to you by Active Management. We are dedicated to helping your fitness business #grow in 2015. Check out www.activemgmt.com.au for resources, tools, and more to help you. And by far, the best value for you is to become a member, so join today at www.activemgmt.com.au.